Hello, this is Mike from Dimensional Walking. And today I want to talk about close encounters, alien close encounters, abductions, and how they affect humans. Now, I periodically do this. I've been in this UFO alien world for a very long time, probably over 50 years, 55 years or more. And so I know a little bit about it. I'm not an expert by a long shot. I never said I was an expert, but I've interviewed probably about 1,500 contactees and abductees and kept journals on it. And I know a little bit about those type of things. I've had some of my personal experiences. Some people in my family have had some experiences also. So I have a little bit of a background in it. Okay. And what I want to go through is I just want to go through some of the things that happen to a group of people. Not everybody that has an experience with an alien being turns out to be a negative situation. Okay, um, from with negative results on that particular person. So I want to go through some of the things that happen to people, and they're more negative than positive in this case. So, anyways, let's start it out. Uh, there's, of course, the psychological trauma, and individuals would develop phobias related to specific characteristics of the alien encounter, such as fear of spaceships, extraterrestrials, and even certain type of technical devices. Another common thing seems to be where people would go, and this is from some of my own research, people would go to the dentist or even a doctor, but more the dentist because of the very bright lights that have to do with the abduction experience, where abductees were put on tables and then the bright lights were like shined in their eyes, or shined while there's procedures being done. So that also, triggers the dental office kind of syndrome, as I call it, of anxiety. Okay. Then there's something the disassociation, and I call it depersonalization. Some people experience a disconnect from their thoughts, feelings, and surroundings, and they feel like they're outside their bodies. It's sort of a coping mechanism, um, eh, especially because of the overwhelming nature of this type of experience. Then there's what I call the extra uh, existence crisis, and this would be it challenges a person's fundamental beliefs about reality, the universe, and the place they are in. Um, so it's leading to this existential crisis. They struggle for a sense of reality, basically, because this is so far different from normal realities, having experienced a close encounter with an alien, that it really can mess with people. Then we have the emotional trauma, and that is different. And so, of course, there is this whole PTSD syndrome, which most people know what I'm talking about here. This would be intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, nightmares, avoidance behavior, and hypervigilance. And of course, that's been related to over the years, pretty much since the Vietnam War, people going to war, this very traumatic situation, but it can also happen in alien abductions. And then there's, of course, just the general fear and anxiety because of the unknown, the potential danger associated possibly with alien encounters, intense, persistent feeling of fear and anxiety. Okay. And then there's another angle. It's the isolation and social withdrawal. This is again due to the extraordinary nature of this type of experience. Individuals feel isolated and they don't feel understood, uh, leading them to withdraw from society. And of course, nowadays, there are groups out there that are really, really, really helpful. When I was in New Mexico, there were several groups that we worked with people that had these type of very negative type uh, reactions to these encounters with aliens. Then there's the physical trauma, And then there's the body goes into this flight or fight or flight response, leading them to, things like increased heart rates, sweating, difficult breathing type situations, sleep disorders, nightmares, insomnia are quite common. And because a lot of the abductions, as you probably know, seem to happen more at night than during the day. And of course, if you had this once, you're always going to have the feeling that maybe I'm going to have it again. And because of that, you're looking for cues and triggers that may be around you at any time you'd go to bed. So that's what makes it really rough. And of course, there's also the what I call the unexplained physical symptoms, such as fatigue, headaches, pain, uh, which may also be psychosomatic in nature, um, but caused basically by this encounter situation. So now I want to go over a little story that I'd read years ago in the Associated Press, and this story takes place in Seattle, Washington, and this story is about a guy uh, that they found in a park in Seattle under a tree, and he was a bit dazed. After hanging out in this tree area, around this tree in the park, he asked for help from a bus driver that happened to get out of his bus, park his bus, and get out of his bus and just walk around and smoking a cigarette. And the bus driver, of course, immediately called the police. Um, so the police went ahead and put out all kinds of information on the internet, and were trying to find out who this person was. Basically, he had amnesia. He didn't know anything, where he was, why he was here, didn't know his name, didn't know anything. But they finally found, by doing, putting the information out on the internet and showing his picture, etc. They came to find out he had, first of all, he did have a German accent, and he had been an English teacher in China. Go ahead and believe that. And he would had a degree in uh, um, culinary arts, cooking, of course, and he also is a translator in several languages, and just to name a few of his skills and talents. Um, to the psychology folks, they would probably call this he was suffering from dissociative fugue, which by definition is unexpected travel away from your home, along with inability to recall the past, sometimes even assumption that you don't know your identity at all. And in this case, he had that. He had all of that. Okay. So, what is this cause of this disorder? And again, going back to what I told you previously, it seems to be related to a high stress, high trauma beyond the capacity of a particular individual to handle. So Joe Doe, as he liked to be called, he actually liked it, was a teacher again in foreign cultures from several countries, and I believe different cultures and culture shock can trigger these type of episodes. And I had, as I told you, I had interviewed and counseled hundreds of individuals who've witnessed culture shock, actually the culture shock of their lifetime. And that was an encounter with a close encounter, I'll call this, with an alien. So I've always wondered why so much of the experiencer's memory is lost after an encounter. Does the human mind have the amazing defense mechanism to keep us from going mad? And I think it does. I think it does. Or do aliens use a flash device like in Men in Black? Now I'm kind of being funny here, but there's no doubt they probably have some ability to erase some of your memory. Um, and again, of course, that would protect both the abductee and the aliens, because basically people wouldn't be running around, with very distinct memories of aliens telling everybody about it. That usually doesn't happen. So my question would be then, did Joe Doe have a close encounter with an alien? that not particular night. And then he was gently placed back. He had an alien encounter, and then he was gently placed in this beautiful park for him to sleep it off and wake up with no memory at all. I think that happens. I really, really do. I think people that, especially in this case, um, he lived quite a distance away. It was someplace in Washington, and I don't remember right now exactly where that was, but I think if I remember, it's well over 100 miles away. And there was no car associated with this. Yes, could he have gotten on a bus or something and came there? Um, but he obviously the story didn't dig that deep into it. So, anyways, I'm going on little assumptions here, but it's an interesting story to kind of understand this whole alien encounter thing. So, but normally, under normal conditions, aliens, if they abduct you, they typically will abduct you probably from your house, and then they do their thing. You're taken up maybe for a few hours, typically no more than a few hours, and then you're brought back, and safely put back in your bed. And for the most part, you hardly remember ever going. Okay? So when the humans wake up in their homes, uh, there can be, of course, this re-triggering a memory, and only the alien experience is lost, meaning your memories come back to normal, but you don't remember the alien experience. And I believe from my research and from my conversations with people that probably 97% of abductees never know they were abducted. So I'm saying there's a lot of people out there that have been abducted and never know it and may never know it ever. Will go to the grave with it. Okay. So so I believe for all the years of my discussion that I strongly believe that probably 15% of the U.S. population has experienced um, uh, interdimensional, I'll call it, or alien abductions, however you want to call it, um, encounters in which they are abducted. And you may say, oh, that's impossible. That basically would mean that, 1 out of 6 or 1 out of 7 people had some type of disassociated type experience sometime in their life related to other worldly encounters. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. I just wanted to periodically I do something like this, and I've been doing this for years through groups, um, through groups of people meeting, etc. So I just wanted to let you know that most people do not have a bad experience, but most people do forget it. Okay, that's probably a very important takeaway. And again, I want to just stress: normally you are put back in a bed, not in a park. Although in the summertime, Seattle would be quite pleasant. So, with all that said, see you next time. Bye bye.